When the morning light breaks through the sky, feel the power within, it's time to rise. Every challenge, every fight, you are stronger, you are the light. Dreams are calling, don't you see? You're the captain of your destiny. With every step, with every stride, feel the fire, let it guide. Rise and shine, the world's in your hands. Take a stand, make your plans. With your heart, with your mind, you're unstoppable, one of a kind. Rise and shine, the valleys over peaks, in every silence, in every speech. You have the power, you have the grace. Every day is a new embrace. Dreams are calling, don't you see? You're the captain of your destiny. With every step, with every stride, feel the fire, let it guide. Rise and shine, the world's in your hands. Take a stand, make your plans. With your heart, with your mind, you're unstoppable, one of a kind. Rise and shine. When the shadows fall and night is long, hold on tight, keep your spirit strong. In every heartbeat, in every breath.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're listening or watching from. Welcome and welcome back to the Future Focus Podcast. I'm Latina, your Future Focus PM, providing you with news and information in project management and AI. Thanks once again for tuning in, whether you're catching it live or the replay. And let me know where you're listening or watching from. Even if you're watching the replay, just go ahead and drop that in the chat. And like, comment, and share on whatever platform you're using. And if you have not done so already, connect with me here on LinkedIn and all other platforms as Latina L. Lewis. All right, let's get the conversation started. So the article that I sourced this time around, let's see. Let me go into my article. Yeah, so the title of the article is how to effectively manage AI projects in 12 steps. Now, this particular article gets into the unique challenges of AI and project management, why human oversight and AI governance are critical, and it does talk about practical strategies for success, 12 of them to be exact, hence the name of the article. This article was done by techtarget.com. It was published on October 9th. What I'm planning to do is I plan to just talk about the fundamental differences between AI projects and IT projects. So by the title of this podcast, it's asking why AI projects are not the same as IT projects. So I'm going to get into that piece of the article, and I invite you to go out and read the rest of the article for the additional points that this article calls out relative to managing AI projects. All right. So this particular part of the article was of huge interest to me. So I wanted to flesh it out a little bit more and use that as part of this conversation. All right, so let's get into it. Because AI projects and IT projects really do require a different approach, in my opinion. And this article helped me to flesh that out a little bit more. So let's get into it. All right, so AI's unique nature demands a tailored approach. Okay, so the thing about it is that, let me get to my notes here. Let me see where, oh, there we are. Yeah, I'm working off of some notes and I'm working off memory. So executives are increasingly prioritizing AI initiatives. So they're saying, hey, we want to get into this. This is according to the article. All of this is according to the article with a little bit of my flair into it. So, okay. However, AI projects do have a significantly higher failure rate. So the article says or suggests that the estimate right now is that up to 80% of AI projects fail. That's double that of traditional IC projects. So that lends to the argument that we really need to understand the fundamental differences between an AI project and an IT project in order to successfully implement. I really do think that there is or should be a bit of a mind shift in how we implement AI project. So if you have occasion to be assigned an AI related project, or maybe you'll have one in the future, this is some things to make note of. So I liken this. I'm going to make this analogy, and you can tell me in the chat whether or not you agree with this analogy. I liken this to Tuckman's ladder. Now, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. I'm going to go silent for 5 seconds and put in the chat what you remember from Tuckman's ladder. Or what you, so you may put that in the chat, or you may be thinking, oh, I know exactly what Tuckman's ladder is. That's that forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning from your PMP days, from your PMI days, from your project management certification days. You might remember that, or maybe not, if that's not been something you've been introduced to. But Tuckman's ladder is related to team formation. And it says that typically when a team first forms, they go through a set of stages. They go through a ladder of stages, if you will. Forming, storming, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. So they go through that process. So I kind of liken this whole AI project idea and making the distinction between AI versus IT projects as like the new type of project coming on the scene. We've got a new project style in town. And if you know anything about Tuckman's Ladder, what the theory states is that when you have a team that's maybe at the performing stage, when a new person enters the team or when a person leaves the team, they go back to the beginning. They go back to forming. So I kind of feel like that's where we are with the whole AI project concept, or the AI project wave. Is that we're going back to the forming stages, and wherever we were in the performing or norming stage, wherever we were, we're not there anymore. We're back to the beginning. We're trying to figure out how to navigate this landscape of AI and adapting an AI project into our scope of work, right? As project managers and as organizations and as end users, right? So that's where I'm at with that. And that's the analogy that I came up with as I was reading this article, which is why I wanted to talk about this. All right, so let's go a little bit further. The article goes into making the distinction between AI projects and traditional IT projects. And what I did was I created this. It goes through it. The article talks through it, right? So I created this table to kind of help us out a little bit. So each one of the features that are listed there, the complexity, data dependency, project lifecycle, impact on business, those are highlighted in the article. And then I just took that and just created a table between how it distinguishes between the two. All right, so let's get into these. From a complexity perspective, an AI project is going to require more than likely integration with existing systems. So more so than an I let me stop. More so than an IT project, but let me explain. So, implementing an IT or an AI tool and technique, rather, you're overlaying that AI tool and technique over an existing system. You're not replacing a legacy system, for example. So, it's going to require more thought and a little more complex work with how you're going to integrate with that existing system. An IT project, it's going to be less intricate integration. Not that there won't be any integrations, because there are. I implemented electronic health records for a major company. So absolutely, there's going to be some integration, but a lot of times you are taking a major legacy system and replacing it with that IT system, with that new EHR, for example. You're replacing it. So there's not as much integration. There's some, but it's not, maybe not as intricate, because you're making a replacement, or you're putting in something brand new from maybe you weren't using a legacy uh, electronic system. All right, so there's a little bit of nuance there that I think it's worth looking at when you're implementing an AI project. That overlay over an existing system versus maybe possibly the replacement of an existing. Data dependency. AI, and I've talked about this before, AI needs data. It needs high quality data. It needs a high volume of data. It needs that data to be accessible in order for you to implement, for you to train, in order for you to really ensure that your AI tool is working as you would expect it to, right? So it needs really good data. And that's usually from the beginning. So with an AI project, you may have to step back before you even start to say, hey, what is this particular AI tool helping us with? And do we have good data? And if we don't, how do we prepare before we get into this project to make sure that our data is high quality, high volume, and is going to be accessible to us? An IT project, in some IT situations, not all, but I would say more so than with AI projects, is that you don't need complex data upfront. Okay, you can often complete with limited data requirements. You can build without those data requirements. Data is not the primary driver in terms of needing that to feed in order to make sure that the system is working. A lot of times you're needing the requirements of maybe the project of the operations team, if you will, those requirements, so you know how to build. You have your user stories on, you want your system to do this, right? That's not data driven, it's requirements driven, it's preference driven, if you will. So it's a little bit different. So again, a nuance that I think is important to really look at when you're looking at an AI project. Project lifecycle. Clearly, AI projects need to be iterative. You're not going to be using a lot of waterfall techniques in an AI project because they're just not a good fit. So iterative in nature, but also keep in mind that you really need to understand how your iterative approach is going to work, because with AI goes through a lot of iterations all by itself. So take ChatGPT, for instance. I'm just using that as a broad example. ChatGPT has gone through multiple iterations over the 2 to 3 years that it's been open to the public, right? It's had a lot of different upgrades. It's gone from 3.5 all the way to 4 Omni. So looking at that, you're going to have to, in an AI project, whatever tool or technique you're implementing or building, you may have to say, okay, prior to us implementing this project, this particular AI tool has gone through 5 iterations over 2 years. It's going to take us 18 months to implement this tool into our business. So we can expect that we're going to have X number of upgrades that are going to happen that we're going to have to address in the midst of our project. Okay. Traditional IT project, there, not to say that there's not going to be any uh, upgrades or changes, but there may not be as frequent. And this says here, it says that often the flow is more linear. It's a more linear path. Um, Again, when I think linear, I think traditional, I think waterfall. So I changed that in my head to say a more linear iterative path. So you might not have as many upgrades that happen while you're building because of the nature of your IT project. There may not be as many, so you won't have as many ongoing adjustments. Whereas with an AI project, you may have a few more. And then impact on business. AI can potentially be a transformative product or result for your business. It's going to redefine your ways of working. So prior to implementing, that's going to be really important to look at. What is this AI tool and technique changing about our business? How is it disrupting our current way of working? And what does that mean? I think that is more of a thing to think about than IT. Not that you don't have to think about how you're going to be transformed with an traditional IT project, but it's focused on improving efficiency or automating an existing process, and less likely to be as radical as potentially an AI project. So again, these are the distinctions that the article pulls out. I think they're good points or good distinctions, and I think they're really good things to step back from in an AI project scenario and look at a little more deeply than you would a traditional AI IT project. Also, if you are a company who is implementing an AI tool, and you have not embraced the agile mindset, that is also going to be something where you're really going to need to take a step back. Take a step back and get an understanding of what agile is, what it means to work iteratively. If again, this is all brand new to you, and then look at how AI is going to transform the way you do your work, right? And then you have a higher chance of being successful. Okay, so sound off in the chat. What do you think? What do you think about those features? What do you think about those differences? How are you feeling about that? And let me know what your thoughts are. All right, let's move forward. Some implications for project management, a couple of points here. Rethinking traditional methodologies. I mentioned that a little bit in the last slide. You're going to have to embrace that agile mindset. You're going to have to emphasize flexibility. You're going to have to look at that product backlog maybe a little more frequently than you would based on the evolving nature of AI. But absolutely, agile methodologies are going to be much more suited for an AI project than your rigid or your waterfall. Well, let's not call it rigid. I don't want to be negative. Your waterfall approaches, because waterfall approaches work depending on the project that you're working in. So I don't want to kick waterfall to the curb here. Emphasis on data expertise, right? You're going to have good data to have a really good outcome with your AI tool or technique. So, who are your data engineers? Who are those people that know the data and can analyze the data and can make sure that you have good data? That's going to be really important to emphasize data expertise. And then finally, managing expectations. So, managing expectations with your project team and with your stakeholders to say, hey, here is what this tool and technique is going to do. Here is how it's going to change our way of working. Here is our timeline, but here's where we might need to be flexible. Here are potential risks. All those things need to be managed and I think looked at even more closely in this evolving era of AI, because so many things can change. And so you really have to set your stakeholders up for that type of change so they're not disappointed or they don't have unrealistic expectations one way or the other. All right. Concluding thoughts here in summary. So, recognizing that AI projects are not simply IT projects is the first step towards being successful here. Just thinking about them a little bit differently, shifting that mind a little bit so that you can have a more successful outcome. Embracing the unique characteristics of AI and adapting your strategies to harness the transformative power while mitigating risks. Risk mitigation and risk identification is going to be super important here. And then finally, the key lies in understanding that AI is data driven. It's absolutely iterative and potentially disruptive. I think if you say those words in the beginning, rather than waiting to say them to the end, you set a really good expectation of where this is going. And the way that you plan, the way that you execute, and the way that you monitor is going to be more effective. All right. That's my story, guys. I'm sticking to it. Feel free. I encourage you to go check out the rest of the article. It does talk about those 12 steps on how you can prepare for a successful AI project. Again, if you have not embarked upon an AI project yet, this could be a good reference article. If you have, this could be a good reference article for you to go in and look at those steps, look at some of the other key points the article brings out, and maybe implement that into your project. All right, so let me know how that works out for you. Sound off in the chat on how you feel about it. All right. Last thing before I conclude, I mentioned this last week in my last talk. I invite you to join my ChatGPT class. It's everyday ChatGPT. If you are someone who has not really embarked on the AI road yet, you're not on that train yet, you haven't used ChatGPT for whatever reason, this is an opportunity to get some hands-on experience. You can sign up for my class. It's on Tuesday, October 22nd from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It's hands-on. You'll get some really good experience. We'll get a chance to have a conversation. And let me be clear, if you already use ChatGPT for your way, for what you do every day or for business, this won't be for you. This is going to be a class that really gets into the basics and really talks about what ChatGPT is all about. So if that's not you, but you know someone else who has not embarked on this journey, let them know about the class. I'll drop a link directly to the registration page in the chat. You can also scan the QR code to get it as well. And I will also say, Just to set an expectation, we're not going to be talking about this from a business perspective. I'm not going to give you like business technique if you own a business or anything like that. It really is everyday chat GPT. How the things you might be doing currently, how you can use chat GPT to help you be more efficient in those areas. All right. So if you're interested, come on out October 22nd. And with that, we are done. Guys, I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Check out my free resources for project managers on my website, kinsmanpointconsulting.com, and connect with me on all platforms. Until next time, guys. See ya.